right, guys, now we're going to order rational numbers, and this means positive and negative rational numbers. So your objective to order any rational number, and this is page 14. All right, so first, you're going to do the same thing we've been doing, and you're going to convert all the numbers into decimals. Okay? Also, use a number line. I know sometimes we get overconfident or we get lazy, and we want to just try to order them in our head, but the number line is going to help you, and I see so many mistakes in this skill. Okay, also, when you're using a number line, don't forget that the negative numbers look backwards. So starting with 0, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, etc. So the numbers will look backwards on the negative side. Okay, so first if you want to start off just by comparing two numbers, sort of a review from last time, we're going to start by changing them both to decimals. This one's already a decimal, yay. So let's just change -7/25. It's still going to be negative, and now I just need to divide. So that's going to go in 0 times. If I think quarters, I know only 2 quarters because that'd be 50 cents. If I had 3, that'd be 75, which is too much. So that's twice. I subtract, I get 20. I add a 0 and bring it down. Quarters into $2, we can think. Well, that'd be 8. All right, so this would be -0.28 or 28 hundredths. This is -0.2. Again, I'm going to add a 0 so that they both have 2 digits. So this is like 28 hundredths and 20 hundredths. Again, they're both negative, so I can imagine 0 being all the way over here. I think in my head, which of these would be closer to 0? Well, 20 would be closer to 0. And 28 would be a little bit further out. So now when I'm comparing these, remember on a number line, here are your larger numbers, the greater numbers. Here are the less or few or smaller numbers, okay? So this one is greater, so that means this one has to be less than. So then I'm going to put the less than sign, or in other words, make sure that the inequality sign is open towards the larger number. Okay, now I'm going to get to a little bit trickier skill. I have 4 numbers. Some of them are positive and some of them are negative. Now I like to organize my numbers on a T-chart over here with the negatives and the positives. That way you don't accidentally confuse how you order them and just pay attention to the number instead of also paying attention to the sign. So again, it takes just a few extra seconds and it really helps out a lot. Okay, so we're going to start with the first step though, which is to change all the numbers into decimal form. Well, this one's already decimal, yay. Let's change 1/25. Now, 25 does not go into 10, so don't forget to put your 0 up here. It goes in 0 times, and then I get to add another 0. 25 goes into 100 4 times, think quarters, which is 100. All right, so again, don't forget to write the number next to it so you don't actually get confused. I'm going to just write it above right here, 4 hundredths. All right, this one, percent to decimal, to the left we roll. There's already a decimal, so I have to start there and roll to the left. Put my 0, so this would be 0.035 or 35 thousandths. And then my last one, I need to divide that. Okay, 5 goes into 24 times, which is 20. All right, so that would be, don't forget your negative sign, -4/10. Now, again, important step, you have different decimals and they have different amount of digits. So you're gonna wanna add zeros so that they all have the same number. Now, one way you can do it is you can add them when you put them on this T-chart. So I'm gonna start with the negative numbers. I know that this one is negative, 18 hundredths, and -4/10. okay? And because this has 2 digits and this only has 1, I'm gonna go ahead and add a 0 here. Okay, now I'm gonna put my positive numbers on the positive side. 400ths and 35 thousandths. Again, this has 3 digits, so I want to add a 0 here. Now, I can also add a 0 to both of these so that they all have 3 digits if I want to. Okay, so now I have all my numbers, and I'm going to start by just labeling my number line with the whole numbers just so I can better see. Now, you don't have to necessarily put all your whole numbers on the number line. You should be able to tell by looking at which is closer to 0, which is farther from 0, the order. But I'm going to, in this case, just so we have this example, so let's say this is 0. And since we don't go past 1 or -1, I'm going to make this 1 and this -1. Okay, and that means halfway, this would be, since they're in decimals, I'm going to put 0.5, and this would be -0.5. Now, another thing that you might want to do, because these go to 3 digits, is make this also go to 3 digits. So I could also write this as 1.000, 0.500, 00.000. And I mean, I could write 0.000 if I wanted. All right. Now, let's look at our numbers and place them on the number line. Again, I'm going to start with my negatives. Just focus on the negatives. If I'm looking at these 2 numbers, I need to think which one is closer to the 0. Well, 180 and 400, 180 looks smaller, so it would be closer to the 0. So I'm going to put that right here. Again, it doesn't have to go exactly where it should go as long as it's close, okay? And then 400 would be a little bit further from 0, but it wouldn't be past 500, so it's going to be somewhere right in here. All right, now I'm going to look at my positives, so it's going to be on this side. Remember, these are your positives. This is the negative side. Okay, I basically have 40 and 35. 35 is going to be closer to 0, just barely. 0.35. And then that means this one is just going to be a tiny bit further out. Again, nowhere close to over here, just as long as we get them in the right order. That's the most important thing. So now I've put all 4 numbers on my number line. Now let's go back and see what order it asked for. Ascending. When a plane ascends, it goes up into the air. So that would be least to greatest. So now I put them in least to greatest. Well, if I already put them on a number line, that's why the number line is great, because they're already in order for you. You just start all the way to the left, because remember the smallest number started to the left, and you list them in order. Okay, so the least would be this one. Now, don't forget, we do need to put these back into original form, so I'm going to go ahead and put them back into original form as I list them. And again, this is why it's important to put each decimal next to your original form so that you don't accidentally mix them up later. Okay, so -0.400 would be this one. So least would be -2/5. Next I had this number, which was -1800ths. Next I had this one, which was 3.5%. And last was my 1/25. And there we go. I have all these 4 numbers from least to greatest. Now, really quick, just a warning. I have people sometimes try to take the numbers after they list them on the number line and then list them like this. Smallest, next, next, greatest. Remember, if you put them on a number line, you've already put them in order. If it's least to greatest, just start at the left and list them towards the right. If it says greatest to least, start it all the way to the right and list them backwards, okay? That's why you use the number line, because that puts them in order for you. Just go this way for least to greatest and this way for greatest to least. Okay, so we have another example. I want you to go ahead and try this one without me. So change them to decimals. Go ahead and use your T-chart, add zeros, put them on your number line, and I'm going to help you out just by labeling this for you. We'll make this 0, 1, 2, and -1, -2. Also, don't forget, descending means you're going down, so greatest to least. Okay, so go ahead and pause, try this one, and then we'll go over it. Okay, by now you should have already tried this on your own. So let's go ahead and change them all to decimal form. These two are already in decimal form, great. Let's just change these two. So 7/6, I'm gonna divide that. I know that it's gonna be over a whole because it's improper. So that goes in once. I bring down the 0, 6 goes into 10 once. I can add another 0. Now 6 into 40. Again, if you're not good with your 6s, list out your multiples. You can always write them out, 6, 12, etc. Okay, so I'm going to show that example just for those who might struggle with their multiplication facts. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36. And again, if you're not sure what the next one is, just count 6 more and put the number. So the next one would be 42, which is too big. So I don't need that one. I would just stop here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's going to go in 6 times, which is 36. I subtract that, and I got 4 again. Well, that means that I'm going to keep putting 40, and it's going to go in 6 times, and then 40 and 6 times. So this 6 is repeating. Now, not the 1, just the 6. Okay, so let's write that near this. Negative, don't forget it's a negative, okay? That's where I also see mistakes is people just dropping off negatives and forgetting about them. So negative 1.16 repeating. Percent to decimal, to the left we roll, 1, 2. So this is 1.25. All right, so now we have all of them in decimal form. We're going to go ahead and stick them on our T-chart. Separate the positives and the negatives. Okay, so let's see. 1.4 is on the positive side. Negative 1.16 repeating. 1.25 is on the positive side. And negative 0.92. Now, because this one only has 1 digit, let's go ahead and add a 0 to the end. There we go. Okay, so now all of our numbers go to 2 decimal places, and we can put them on our number line. So let's start with the negatives. Now again, I need to think which one of these is closer to the 0. Well, if I imagine them as 116 and 92, 92 would be closer to the 0, and it would actually be somewhere right in this area because it's almost to the -1, but not quite. So it would be somewhere right in here, so we'll just label it and put it here. Okay, and then this one would be further past the -1, so it's going to be on this side, negative 1.16 repeating. All right, now let's put our whole numbers, our positive numbers, okay? So these are both between 1 and 2, and if I think about which one is smaller, 125 is smaller than 140, so this one is going to be a little bit closer, maybe right in here. And then 140 would be close to the halfway point, so this would be somewhere right there. All right, so now I have all my numbers on the number line. Remember, it's telling me to do greatest to least. So since the numbers to the right are greater, I'm going to start all the way at the end. So my greatest number is 1.40. Again, I'm going to put it in original form. So that's 1.4. Okay, next is 1.25. Again, original form, 125%. Keep going. Next would be negative 0.92 or negative 92 hundredths. And then last at the end is negative 7/6. Okay, so again, if I did least to greatest, I just go from left to right. If I do greatest to least, I just go from right to left. All right, well, we've got a lot of practicing for this skill to do, so get on it, and I'll see you next time.